Have you ever felt out of place in a crowd? As if even surrounded by people, something about you was different? Perhaps at family gatherings, at work, or even during leisure time. The feeling that your view of the world is not like everyone else's has always accompanied you. It's as if there's a flame inside you, something that can't be extinguished, but that you haven't yet known exactly how to use. I know what it's like. A few years ago, I felt the same way. Seeing leaders like Elon Musk, who defied the impossible, I asked myself, what about me? What does God want me to do in this chaotic world? For a long time, I searched for answers in books, conversations, and even in silence, trying to understand why I saw possibilities where others saw barriers. And then, in a moment of prayer, I realized it wasn't about having all the answers. It was about being willing to be an answer. That's what God asks of you. God has a unique way of preparing us. Sometimes He uses everyday, seemingly insignificant situations to shape us. It could be that time you had to deal with a difficult person at work and discovered a patience you didn't even know you had. Or when you decided not to take the easy way out, but the right way, even though you knew no one would notice. These small choices are the stage on which God trains the chosen ones. He's not looking for perfect or qualified people, but those willing to be molded by Him. When we look at the world's visionary leaders, like Elon Musk or others who break barriers, we see boldness. But I want you to know, God has placed an even greater kind of boldness in you, because your mission is not just to transform systems, it's to touch souls. With every choice you make, every moment you decide to align your actions with divine purpose, you challenge the paradigms of this world. Perhaps you don't see yourself as someone called to lead, but I want to remind you, the chosen ones often start where no one is looking. So it was with David, Gideon, and so many others that God used. Today, we live in a time when old systems are crumbling. Governments fall, leaders rise, and the world seems in a constant state of chaos. But in the midst of this maelstrom, there is a voice calling out to you. God is saying, I have chosen you. No matter where you are now or how small you feel, I have raised you up to lead. Do you feel that? That restlessness that won't let you ignore injustice, the hunger for something greater, the desire to transform your family, your community, or even the world. This is no coincidence. It's a call. But let's be honest, answering that call can be scary. You may feel that you're not ready. I've felt that many times. I've asked God, why me? Why now? And in silence, He replied, because it's in the now that I work, and it's in you that I trust. God isn't waiting for you to be perfect. He's waiting for you to say yes. Just as Moses said yes in front of the burning bush, even though he knew he would have to face Pharaoh, God expects you to trust Him. You may be asking yourself, but how do I start? The answer lies in the simple details of your life, in the way you treat the people around you, in the decisions you make when no one is looking, in the courage to dream, even when everything around you seems to scream, it won't work out. These are the small beginnings of leadership that transforms. Today, I want you to look at your life through different eyes. Everything you've been through, the struggles, the victories, and even the disappointments have been part of God's plan to shape you. He doesn't waste anything. What the world sees as failures, He sees as tools. What you consider small, He considers essential. You are not alone on this journey. There are many of us, scattered around the world, each with their own mission. Some are on stage, visible to all, as great world leaders. Others work behind the scenes, quietly transforming lives. But we are all connected by the same purpose, to bring divine light to a world crying out for justice and renewal. How many times have you looked at someone being exalted and thought, why him? Why not me? This question, often loaded with frustration, can arise from different places, from work where you dedicate yourself, but the credit goes to someone else, from the family where it always seems that others' efforts are recognized more than yours, or even when you see leaders rising, such as the recent appointments in the U.S. government, and wonder if those decisions really reflect justice or divine interests. These thoughts are more common than you might think, but there is something powerful we need to recognize. They reveal not only the challenges of the world around us, but also the internal battles we face on a daily basis. Envy, hatred, and even pride are not just external feelings. They try to invade the hearts of all of us, including the chosen ones. And this is where the real test begins. I remember an experience I once had, where a colleague at work, with little experience and many empty words, was promoted while I was left behind, despite all my efforts. At first, I was overwhelmed by feelings of injustice. Doesn't God see how hard I'm working? But something happened that night. In prayer, I heard clearly in my heart, you weren't called to compete with them. You were called to walk with me. It was a moment of healing and rediscovery of purpose. Maybe you're going through something similar right now. I want you to know, God never forgets who He has chosen. At the same time, God doesn't call us to ignore the feelings that arise in us. Hatred, for example, may seem like a natural response to betrayal and injustice, but it becomes a dangerous trap. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to be consumed by it? A friend who betrays you, a relative who spreads lies, or even a boss who publicly humiliates you. Hatred seems to promise strength, but it only brings destruction. Choosing forgiveness in these moments is the greatest act of courage a chosen one can have. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or allowing people to hurt us again. It means not carrying the weight of resentment. This is what Jesus demonstrated on the cross. He didn't just forgive, He set us free. That same forgiving love is what He expects you to carry on your journey. You have been called to heal not only others, but yourself, by releasing the weight of hatred and guilt. Feelings of guilt, in fact, are one of the greatest enemies of the chosen ones. Have you ever found yourself thinking about the decisions you've made and condemning yourself for not having done better? Maybe it's something simple, like a harsh word you said in a moment of anger, or something deeper, like a path you followed and realized was wrong. Guilt can be paralyzing, but I want you to know, God doesn't define you by your mistakes. He defines you by His love for you. However, not everyone around you will understand or support your journey. Often, the people closest to you, family, friends, or colleagues, can become obstacles. Jealousy is a feeling that often arises when the light of a chosen one begins to shine. I remember one person I knew, a childhood friend, who couldn't stand the fact that I had started to thrive spiritually while he remained stagnant. He started spreading rumors, trying to undermine my credibility. At first, I was devastated. How could someone who knows me so well do that? I thought. But God reminded me that even Joseph faced the envy of his own brothers before becoming the leader who would save his family and an entire nation. And here's an important truth. Not everyone on your side is rooting for you. Some are waiting for you to fall. But the response of a chosen one should never be revenge. Their response is love. Not the naive love that ignores other people's intentions, but the wise love that understands that people act according to the wounds they carry. Many who spread hatred or envy are actually fighting their own insecurities. And you, as the chosen one, are called to see beyond that. The political world, especially at times of transition, such as the recent appointments in the U.S. government, is a clear reflection of this dynamic. Some celebrate the changes as signs of progress. Others, overcome with pride, see only opportunities to strengthen their own power. But we, the chosen ones, are called to look at these changes with discernment. They are not just a game of human powers. They are opportunities for the divine purpose to be fulfilled. And where do you come into all this? As a chosen one, you are called to challenge paradigms not only through big actions, but also through small daily decisions. When you choose to forgive, instead of holding a grudge, you are transforming the world. When you decide to love, even when it's easier to hate, you are challenging the system. When you step up to lead, whether in your home, at work, or in your community, you are responding to God's call. Every appointment of earthly leaders, every move in government, and every decision in high places are shadows of the choices that take place in the spiritual realm. God is moving pieces, preparing the board for something bigger. And you, even if you don't realize it, are one of those important pieces. You have been strategically positioned, not to seek your own glory, but to reflect God's glory in everything you do. The question that remains is, are you willing to embrace this role? It won't be easy. You will face resistance. You will be misunderstood and sometimes even rejected. But I want you to know, the same God who called you is the God who will empower you. You are not alone on this journey. Your courage, your faith, and your willingness to keep going, even in the face of adversity, are the greatest proof that you have been chosen. Have you ever felt that within your own home, where you should find support and love, was the place where you faced the most criticism, rejection, and even contempt? For many chosen people, the hardest battle is not against the outside world, but against those who should be the first to believe in you, your family. This painful and often lonely reality is a burden that few can understand. How many times have you heard phrases like, "You won't get anywhere," or "Why do you always have to be different from everyone else?" These words don't come from strangers, but perhaps from your own mother, father, or siblings. It's a deep blow, because it's not just about what was said. It's about who said it. Those who should protect you, support you, and guide your steps end up being the first to condemn your journey. This is not new. Even Jesus faced rejection among his own. The Bible says that a prophet has no honor in his own land. But why does this happen? Narcissistic mothers, for example, often find it difficult to cope with a child who shines in a way they never could or wanted to. For them, their child's every achievement is not something to be proud of, but a reflection of what they see as their own shortcomings. They criticize, manipulate, and belittle, trying to make you fit into a mold that was never made for you. Growing up in this environment can generate feelings of inadequacy, anger, and often guilt. Am I wrong for wanting more? Am I ungrateful for seeking something different? No, you're not wrong. God made you different, and it is precisely this difference that makes you chosen. Parents, on the other hand, may not understand your journey, especially if they themselves are stuck in the paradigms of this world. A parent who has always valued stability and conformity may see your choices as irresponsible or rebellious. How many times have you tried to explain your vision and only received a disapproving look or a cold comment? It hurts. But remember, Joseph, the dreamer, was also ridiculed by his own brothers, and yet God used this rejection as part of the plan to raise him up. Brothers often carry a different dynamic. To them, your light can seem like a threat. They may feel that their journey puts them in a shadow that they don't want to accept. This creates a silent but painful competition. Sarcastic comments, exclusions at important moments, or even gossip about you are common. They may question your intentions, accusing you of being arrogant or wanting to attract attention. But what they fail to understand is that you didn't choose this journey. It was assigned to you. And in the midst of all this, internal conflict arises. How do you love those who hurt you? How do you forgive when the pain seems so personal? I want you to know, God understands this struggle. He never asks you to ignore your pain, but rather to trust Him to transform it. Forgiveness, in this context, is not an act of weakness, but of strength. When you forgive, you release the control that these hurts have over you, allowing God to work true healing. Today, more than ever, these family conflicts are more intense. We live in a time when values are being questioned, and the differences between generations seem to be growing. Perhaps your family doesn't understand why you don't follow the same career path as everyone else, or why you prefer to meditate, pray, or study instead of conforming to the standards they consider normal. They may even accuse you of being ungrateful, disloyal, or foolish. But I want you to remember, God has not called you to be understood by everyone. He has called you to be faithful to the purpose He has placed in your heart. This faithfulness often requires you to face contradictory feelings. It's natural to feel angry when we've been wronged, but the challenge is not to let it take over. Hatred may seem like a quick and even justified response, but it eats away at your soul and leads you astray. Loving your family, even in the midst of criticism, is a revolutionary act. It's not easy, and God knows it. But it is in this love that you find the strength to carry on. On the other hand, it doesn't mean that you have to accept emotional abuse or submit to toxic relationships. Love often requires clear boundaries. Forgiveness is not about allowing the cycle of pain to continue. It's about taking control and deciding that your life will be guided by God's purpose, not by the mistakes of others. Modern society also adds more pressure to these family conflicts. With social media, it's easy to see seemingly perfect families and feel that yours will never be like that. But I want you to know, God is not interested in appearances. He doesn't need perfection to accomplish what He has planned. He uses your story, with all its flaws, pains, and challenges, to create something greater. And He's using you to do it. Meanwhile, world leaders are appointed, and systems are transformed. You may look at these changes and feel small, but I want you to know, the real changes begin in your heart, in your home, in your daily decisions. You were chosen to be a light, even in the most difficult environments. God didn't choose you because you already knew everything or because you had all the answers. He chose you because He knew that, even in the darkest moments, you would continue to seek the light. And that's exactly what makes you different. It doesn't matter what anyone says about you or what criticism you face. God is by your side, guiding your steps, turning your pain into purpose, and your struggles into victory. Sometimes it feels like the world is conspiring against you. As well as internal and family conflicts, you look around and realize that external challenges are also piling up. Social media, social pressures, and constant comparisons are all part of today's scenario and can often make you question the value of your calling. Why does my journey seem so difficult? Am I really chosen? These thoughts may arise, but I want you to know, the chosen will always face greater challenges because they carry a greater purpose. Think about the modern clashes we're experiencing today. Social media, for example, has the power to amplify both the light and the shadows in our lives. You post something meaningful, something that came from the bottom of your heart, and instead of support, you receive criticism or even attacks from people you don't even know. Or perhaps you see someone living a seemingly perfect life, and this awakens in you a feeling of frustration or inadequacy. This is a reflection of the world we live in, where appearances often outweigh the essence. If you've been through this, you're not alone. These moments can bring up feelings such as envy or comparison, but they also reveal something powerful. The fact that you are in the middle of a transformation process. Just as gold is purified in the fire, you are being shaped. What matters is not what others think of you, but what God thinks. And for Him, you are precious, irreplaceable, and an essential part of His plan for this world. Now back to your family. Have you ever thought about why the greatest challenges often come from those who should be your allies? Narcissistic mothers, for example, can use social media to display a love that they often don't show at home. They post smiling photos while continuing to manipulate and emotionally hurt in the home environment. Perhaps you have been the victim of harsh words that, although said in a casual tone, have made a deep impression. Comments like, "You're so ungrateful," or "You'll never amount to anything in life," echo in your mind as a constant reminder of pain. This can also happen with siblings or relatives who use social media to indirectly criticize or downplay your achievements. They can even create artificial conflicts, turning your every victory into a cause for dispute. These behaviors often arise from insecurity, but they are not easy to deal with. God, however, is aware of all this. He sees your tears, your efforts to maintain peace, and the pain you carry in silence, and He is by your side, strengthening you. But what do you do when hatred, pride, and even guilt threaten to overwhelm you? The answer lies in something the modern world rarely values: humility. Humility is not weakness. It's recognizing that you don't have to carry everything yourself. It's knowing that, even when everything seems to be against you, God is on your side. It's letting Him guide your steps, even at times when you can't see the way. This humility is also necessary when we confront our own mistakes. Perhaps at some point, you've let yourself get carried away by a mean comment and responded with anger. Or maybe you judged someone who was just trying to do the best they could. These moments can bring up feelings of guilt, but remember, God doesn't define you by your mistakes. He defines you by His love for you and your willingness to grow and learn. A striking example of this was what happened to a young man I knew. He was brought up by an extremely controlling mother who made him feel inadequate with every step he took. When he decided to leave home and go on his own journey, the whole family condemned him. They called him ungrateful, selfish, and irresponsible. He carried immense guilt, but he also knew that he needed to seek his freedom. In the middle of this journey, he encountered God in a way he had never imagined. It was at that moment that he realized, it doesn't matter what people think or say. What matters is the purpose God has placed in you. The end of the year is a unique time. It's when many stop to reflect, search for meaning, and renew their strength. But for the chosen, this introspection goes beyond superficial goals. It's an opportunity to strengthen their connection with God and prepare to lead with courage and purpose. The Chosen, a devotional ebook that offers a 40-day journey, was created to do just that, to be a spiritual compass that guides you through this transition. When I think of the stories of other chosen ones, I'm reminded of how the greatest battles don't take place on large fields, but within our own homes and hearts. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where your ideas and dreams were often invalidated. A narcissistic mother who demanded perfection but never showed support. A father who always compared your efforts to those of others, making you invisible. Siblings who, driven by envy or insecurity, belittled your achievements with harsh words or devastating silences. These experiences leave deep scars, but I want you to know, God does not ignore your pain. Every tear, every prayer said in silence, every moment when you resisted the temptation to give up, has been seen and counted. The Chosen was created to be a path of healing and renewal, No matter how far away you feel you are, this is the time to get back to the essence of what God has planned for you. This ebook is not just a guide. It is an invitation to a transformative journey. Imagine starting each day with a message that resonates in your soul, bringing clarity and strength to face challenges. Imagine feeling on every page that God is speaking directly to you, helping you to release guilt, forgive hurts, and find the peace you have been seeking for so long. This is the purpose of The Chosen, to guide you back to the center of the purpose that God has prepared. It's the end of the year, a period full of symbolism. While many see Christmas as just a family celebration or a time of rest, for you, the chosen one, this season is a call to renewal. It's an invitation to get closer to God, to align your life with divine purpose, and to enter the new year with a clarity that only He can offer. The Chosen is designed to guide you on this journey, helping you to face the pains of the past and prepare the way for the future that God has already designed. I know that the weight of other people's expectations and the wounds of the past can often make you feel incapable. But remember, God chooses the unlikely. He saw something in you that perhaps you haven't seen yet. And that's why you're here, right now, reading this message. Don't ignore this call. Allow yourself to experience the transformation He has prepared for you. I want you to see The Chosen as more than an ebook. It is a divine gift, an opportunity to reconnect with God and with yourself. And it's not just for you. Think of someone in your life who needs hope, direction, a reminder that God never forgets us. This could be the gift that brings light to their heart. Don't put off the decision to transform your life. The world is changing, and you are an essential part of that change. The Chosen is the way to renew your faith, strengthen your spiritual leadership, and enter the new year with the certainty that you are aligned with God's purpose. The Chosen is much more than an ebook. It's a way for us to be even more connected. Me, George, your spiritual mentor, and you, a chosen one, on this journey of transformation. This devotional was developed with a lot of love, care, and prayer, designed to be a tool that strengthens your connection with God and renews your faith. Yes, we live in a material world, and it's normal to have resources like this to support our mission. But I want you to see The Chosen with an open heart, as something that has been created especially for you, with the purpose of inspiring and guiding your spiritual journey. This is a gift, not just for you, but for everyone who feels God's call in their lives. Check out the first fixed comment. Buy the ebook and come on this 40-day journey that will transform your perspective and prepare you for a future full of clarity, purpose, and faith. Let's walk together from the first minute of your morning, from